I'm Dr. Anthony Harper here, blessed to be with General Amir Avivi, retired from, you're also connected to the Israel Defense Force in some way?
I'm retired from the Israeli Defense Forces, but still in active reserve duty. And I'm the chairman and founder of IDSF, Israel's Defense and Security Forum, which is comprised of more than 20,000 Israeli retired and reserve officers and commanders and operators. All of them promoting Israel's security, looking ahead for generations to come.
And of course, for more information that people can learn from your website, which is what? What is your website?
IDSF, idsf.org.il.
Okay. Well, so there's several questions. I know a lot of people are concerned about what's happening with Israel and this attack that happened on October 7th by Hamas. So I wanted to ask about what is your response to the UN Security Council members and others that are calling for a ceasefire?
So basically calling for a ceasefire is calling for Israel to surrender to Hamas, to not achieve the goals of war, which are eradicating Hamas, destroying Hamas, and not enabling the existence of a terror organization like that on the other side of the border. So on one hand, we see the European Union, for example, passing a clear resolution saying that Hamas needs to be destroyed. On the other hand, many countries voted for a ceasefire, which means Hamas is not going to be destroyed. So basically, this doesn't make sense, and it's a good opportunity to thank the United States for the veto and making sure that Israel can continue to achieve the goals of war. This is destroying Hamas.
I know it's very disturbing for me in Israel about this this actually insensitivity issue, and along with this, what is your response to those that are calling Israel an illegal occupier, and they're siding with Hamas as resistance fighters in this overall rise of anti-Semitism?
So let's start by saying that we are the people of Israel, and this is the land of Israel. We cannot be occupiers in our own land. Now, talking about Hamas specifically, Israel basically disengaged from the Gaza Strip in 2005. We handed the whole Gaza Strip to the Palestinians to give them a chance to build for themselves a future. The Palestinians following that chose Hamas to lead them, a terror organization. And this terror organization has indoctrinized the whole society. It used all of its resources to build a huge terror army and infrastructure. And unprovoked, on the 7th of October, they butchered more than 1,200 Israelis. They burned people alive. They raped women. They decapitated children, babies. And this is something that we cannot accept, and there is only one answer to such atrocities, and this is the complete destruction of this evil terror Nazi organization.
You know, Al Dershowitz, it's a very famed attorney from Harvard, recently referred to this rise of anti-Semitism on the college campuses here in the U.S., reminding him of the Hitler Youth. Had you heard about that? Any comments about how this similarities with this and the Hitler Youth?
I think that everybody in Israel was shocked and surprised to hear the leading universities, the leading leaders of the universities in the U.S. saying that calling for the complete destruction of the Jewish people is not something that is against, their policies, or it's a matter of context. So I think something very, very wrong is going on in the leading universities in the U.S., and not only in the leading universities. And it's something that the American people must address in American leaders and change that. This is endangering Jews everywhere in the US.
There's so much really concern about this Jew hatred that's happening around the world, and I also think about Russia's recently condemning Israel for plans to flood the tunnels in Gaza with seawater. You've heard about that?
Yes, I think that, by the way, my organization, IDSF, we wrote a report about the way Russia is handling itself around the attack of the 7th. The Russian basically their embassy asked to meet with us. We met with the Russian ambassador and discussed Russian policies. We knew better relations with Russia. I really hope that Russia will change the way it looks at this war and will stand with Israel as any decent country should when you are faced with evil.
I know it's disturbing in so many areas about this rise, as I mentioned, of anti-Semitism that is coming from around the world. What is your response to that UNRWA teacher that was holding someone captive in the UNRWA school, that UN agency school in Gaza?
So UNRWA basically is an organization that tries to perpetuate refugee status of Palestinians. Their education system teaches hate towards Jews and towards Israelis. Hamas, in cooperation with them, is using their own sites for the buildup of terror. And I think that if there's one thing we need to make sure the day after this war is to close UNRWA. UNRWA is an organization that only promotes hate and endangers Israel. So I think that anybody who wants a different Palestinian society must understand that UNRWA is not the solution. UNRWA is the problem.
Along with this, I've heard reports about weapons being stored in the UNRWA schools. Hamas storing weapons there. You've heard that as well.
Yeah, definitely. We have seen Hamas storing weapons in mosques, in UNRWA schools, in other civilian places, in hospitals. The hospitals were full of military infrastructure, all of them. And this is Hamas. This is how they operate. And this is something that the IDF is uncovering every day that we are operating in Gaza. We have seen also weapons in kindergartens. We've seen weapons inside dolls, inside teddy bears. There is nothing Hamas won't stop at doing. They're basically using every civil infrastructure existence in order to promote terror and endanger Israel.
You know, General Avivi, many Christians are praying for Israel and praying for help for Israel to get through this very difficult, very painful time. And how have Christians, or how have you seen Christians being a help to Israel?
Well, we have seen Christian communities coming to Israel to assist our farmers, donating money in order to help communities who are displaced, and also response teams in the different towns. And definitely there is a need in such a big war, a war that is going to last a long, long time. There is definitely need for assistance to really strengthen the Israeli society and help us win the decisive in the south, but also in the north and also in the east, Judea and Samaria. There are many, many challenges around us, and this is definitely going to be a long war.
Hello, my name is Amir Avivi, and I'm the founder and CEO of IDSF, הביטחוניסטים. 73 years ago, the modern state of Israel was founded. Against all odds, and despite the best efforts of the Arab countries and naysayers across the globe, we, the Jewish people, established a modern Jewish democracy in our ancestral homeland. Let me ask you a simple question. Why have the Palestinians not been successful in establishing their own state? The United Nations partition plan handed an Arab state on a silver platter, but the Arabs rejected it. They chose not to declare statehood. They repeatedly refused statehood as recently as in 2000 and 2008. They were offered Gaza, almost all of Judea and Samaria, parts of Jerusalem, all rejected. Israeli prime ministers were willing to dissect and destroy the biblical heartland of the state of Israel in the name of peace. But all these efforts were rejected. The world likes to point a finger at Israel and call us occupiers. They say that we are denying rights, denying statehood to our people. It's not true. Denying the fact that the land of Israel is our ancestral land won't solve the problem. As a retired Brigadier General in the Israeli army, I can tell you how happy I would be if the Palestinians successfully build a state. Do you know how many lives are put in harm's way every day, and how many billions of dollars are spent because they refuse to create their own normal state? But the Palestinians refuse to build a state. They would rather devote their efforts to destroying the one Jewish state than have a state of their own. So what is the solution? Peace is important. We want peace. We pray for peace. But dividing up the land of Israel will not bring peace. We have 73 years of proof. But there is a thought. Israel is the home of innovation. Technology developed in Israel improved lives around the world. We're in the business of exporting great ideas and great minds. From drip irrigation to microprocessors to cancer research. We are cutting edge. So why don't we have any new ideas when it comes to solving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? Well, there are in fact new ideas. And Israeli politicians, Palestinian leaders, and international negotiators need to start to think out of the box to find solutions. But one thing is clear. Giving up land for the sake of peace never works. Peace treaties come and go, but you can't get your land back. If Israel gives up the land for peace, we will have no land and no peace. The current borders of Israel are too small to divide between two nations. They are not large enough to provide strategic positions and security for two countries. Once we establish that land for peace does not work, there are still options. Dr. Moti Kedar has a great idea of creating emirates between all different local Arab clans, just like they have in the UAE. There would be the Emirate of Hebron and the Emirate of Jericho, etc. I've spoken to some of the big Arab families and they like the idea. I myself have been a big proponent of the new state solution. Build a Palestinian state, but where is it built? There are really only two options. Build a Palestinian state in Jordan, which is anyway 80% Palestinian, or build a Palestinian state in the Sinai Peninsula adjacent to Gaza. The Sinai Peninsula is currently almost empty. If you are an Arab living under the failed Palestinian Authority in Ramallah or under Hamas terrorists in Gaza, wouldn't you rather have your own plot of land in the Sinai Peninsula with drip irrigation farms in a free democratic Palestinian state? We need to think out of the box and find solutions. The Jewish people were exiled from our land for 2,000 years. We came back and have created one of the most forward-thinking democracies in the world. And now we need to maintain our sovereignty in the land and secure the Jewish state for generations to come. We are not about to retreat to indefensible borders for a short-lived peace. Let us build a lasting, real peace with our neighbors, but let's do it in a way that actually works.